Hi there, it's 10:15 p.m. Central Standard Time, November the 1st, a Sunday night, 2020, and I'm going to make my 2020 presidential election prediction. And I do this every 4 years. And, well, first of all, let me preface the video with this. This is more so for my students than anyone. I'm a public school teacher in southern Minnesota. My opinions on this video are not necessarily what I want to happen, but what I think is going to happen. And once again, I'm just an average guy. I'm not affiliated with any of the candidates. I'm just making a video on my prediction. So once again, this is not an endorsement of any party or any candidate. This is just a video with what I believe is going to happen. Okay, with that being said, let's go to some previous year predictions, and let's go to 2012, the first year I did one. And I was only 2 states off. I picked Florida for Romney and Colorado for Romney. Other than that, I was right on, and Obama did win. And remember, 270 electoral votes to win the election. I have other videos on the Electoral College that explain that a bit further, but the popular vote is irrelevant. With the national popular vote, I should say, is irrelevant when it comes to the Electoral College. So when you see the polls of, oh, so-and-so's ahead by 4 points nationally, that means nothing. It comes down to the matchups. Here in Minnesota, I say that, everybody knows the Minnesota Twins won the 1991 World Series. Nobody ever remembers that the Atlanta Braves scored 5 more runs in the games. So it's kind of a similar analogy to the presidential elections. It's not the points, it's not the votes, it's the matchups. And the votes, of course, matter for the matchups. But running up the score in a particular state might not be to your advantage. Okay, so now let's go to 2016 and what I predicted in that election. And the final result was, I'll get the right map up, was before faithless electors, 306 to 232 Trump. And I had a few errors in that one. I had Nevada going for Trump. I had New Hampshire going for Trump. I did pick Maine Congressional District 2, but I also predicted Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina all going for Clinton. And I said it was going to all hinge on North Carolina, and it didn't. It was a Trump night, and Trump won 306 to, let's get all the Trump ones back here. Let's fix back to normal. 306 to 232. But let's go to 2020. And once again, I am using 270thewin.com, a great site for an interactive board for especially if you have a smart board in your classroom. Wow, is this great. You can make a lot of cool games with this too, which I do for my students. But let's go to the states that I believe that President Trump will win 100% in my book. So start on the west side. We'll go Alaska. Now, I thought Alaska was going to be very close in 2016. It wasn't. I see some polls saying it's going to be close this time. It probably won't be. So I'm going to go Alaska for Trump. Idaho, some people saying, what about all that Montana? Montana loves to split their votes. They might vote for a Republican for president and a Democrat for governor in the same election. Montana's been known to do that, as has Kentucky and Louisiana. They like splitting their votes, so I think Montana will go for Trump. Wyoming, let's see here. Kansas, some people talking about Kansas. No way. Kansas will go Trump. As will Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota. Missouri was very close in 08. I don't think it'll be that close this time. Missouri will go for Trump. As will Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia. And I think that's all the way in South Carolina. Some people talking South Carolina. No, I think South Carolina will be in the camp for Trump. As will Utah. 2016 was kind of a down year for Republicans in Utah. And I believe a big factor in that was Evan McMullin, who ran as an independent but was a Republican. And he was kind of a non-Trump Republican. And he got a lot his home state was Utah. He got a lot of votes in Utah, as well as southern Idaho, and in other states. He was on the ballot in Minnesota as well, and did quite well for a third-party candidate. But I think Utah will be in Trump's winning column this time. So So I have 110 for Trump on states that he will win for sure. Now for Biden, Hawaii, and I always say, you know, the last time a president or a candidate campaigned in Alaska or Hawaii um, was 1960, when the first years they were in a presidential election. So I always wonder if a Democrat went to Alaska, or maybe even if a Republican went to Hawaii, if those would be in play. Something that I would, if I was, if I, and of course it's very spenny to go out there, so it takes a lot of resources to go out there. But if I was advising either of the candidates, I'd say, you know what, Biden, make a trip to Anchorage, or you know what, Trump, why don't you test out what Hawaii, see if you can do something there. But California, the entire Pacific Coast, Oregon, Washington will go for Biden. Let's go Illinois for Biden. Tough to break that Chicago base. Of course, Vermont. Vermont was a little closer than usual in 2016 because of all the write-ins for Bernie Sanders, which, if you look at it, it was like 7%, wasn't it? Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Biden's home state of Delaware, Maryland will all go for Biden, as well Virginia. Virginia, of course, has changed a lot over the years. If you look at Northern Virginia, there are some areas in Northern Virginia, precincts, that went 75% for Republicans 30 years ago and are now going 75% for Democrats now. So Virginia's changed a lot um, and grown a lot, too, in that northern part. And people from all over the country are flocking to that Northern Virginia. That's kind of become a cosmopolitan area of our country. And Washington, D.C., not a state, but will go for Biden. Biden will win, in my prediction, 96% of the vote in D.C. The closest a Republican has ever gone to winning the 3 electoral votes from D.C., I believe in 72, I think Nixon got like 20% of the vote. But other than that, it's never been close. And those are the ones I have firmly in Biden's column. So before we get to anything else, it's 195 to 110 Biden over Trump. In fact, let's even put their names up. Let's do that. All right. So now let's go to the ones that I believe, I'm fairly certain will go to. Oh, before that, actually, let's talk about Nebraska and Maine. Nebraska and Maine are the only 2 states that do not use the winner-take-all method. They use the congressional district voting method. Nebraska has 3 districts, Maine 2. For each district a candidate wins, they get 1 electoral vote, and whoever wins the popular vote in the state will receive an additional 2 electoral votes. So I'm going to start with Nebraska. Trump will win the popular vote in Nebraska. Biden will win the popular vote in Maine. Nebraska, the westmost district, will go for Trump. In Maine, the little district in the south will go for Biden. And Trump will also win the West Central District, or I guess maybe the Central Eastern District. It's kind of a big district as well. The other 2 ones we'll talk about in a moment. Okay, so now for the ones that I'm fairly confident will go how I say. New Mexico for Biden. I know New Mexico used to be considered a bellwether state, a state that would always vote for winners. I don't know if that's the case anymore, although, and I'll have to look it up, there is a county in New Mexico who has voted for the winner in every election since the 1950s. So it's a county, I think it's in central New Mexico, you have to look it up. So they have voted for the winner every election since 1952, I want to say, when Eisenhower won for the first time. Might have been 56 when Eisenhower won the second time, but check that out. Colorado, I believe, will go for Biden, although it's kind of, to me, an anomaly where Trump, of course, lost Colorado in 2016. However, he won the most populous county, and Colorado was the only state where Trump lost, but he won the most populous county in the state. So, you'd think maybe Colorado would be in play, but it's not. The north central part of the state has become far more liberal in the past 15 years or so. And the last time a Republican won Colorado was 2004. So I don't believe Trump will break that streak this year. All right. And let's see. Sorry. This should have been earlier. Indiana will go Trump. I don't know why that was not a. Even though Biden won that in 08, no, firmly Trump in 2020. Sorry about that. So another one I think will go for Trump is I have the state of Ohio going for Trump. Now, what's interesting about Ohio, of course, is there was a special on 60 Minutes tonight saying how Ohio has voted for the winner in each election since 1960. The last time they backed a loser was voting for Richard Nixon in 1960. That's the only time they backed the losing candidate. Now, I think Trump will win Ohio in 2020 as well. I don't believe some of the stuff that was said tonight on the 60 Minutes special. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think Trump will have it by 5%. One also thing, I do look at polls. I look at Real Clear Politics. I look at the averages a lot, and I compare them to 2016, which I'll be doing here in some of these states. So I'm not just doing this willy-nilly. I study this a lot. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just an average guy, but I study this a lot. In college, I studied the Electoral College extensively, and one thing I really enjoy doing is I look. Anytime I sell on eBay a lot, and anytime I sell something, I like to look up the county where the person lives and look up how that county has voted in elections, and I've learned a lot through doing that. Back to what matters, and let's get back to this. I believe Nevada. Boy, I'm not ready to make Nevada. I think an easier one to call is Michigan. I think Michigan will go Biden. Trump did win Michigan last time, and I want to show you something about Michigan here. And you can maybe you'll see it my way, maybe you won't, and that's fine. If you go to 2016, depending on the poll, they had Clinton up by 3.6 as an average. That's the Real Clear Politics average. In the four-way race, I think it was a little closer, just a hair closer. But of course, Trump ended up winning Michigan by 0.3 percentage points. So about a 4-point swing from the polling. Now, if you look at Michigan this time, and sorry about some of the ads coming up. I do not endorse any of these ads necessarily that are coming up, and I apologize for that. I want to go Michigan, and I want to go Trump versus Biden. Let's see if this comes up here. Once again, I'll X that out so we don't see any ads. I apologize for that. Let's see. Michigan. They got the average right now at 6.1. So if you go with the same spread from 2016, where it was about that doesn't cover the spread here, and I think Biden will win Michigan by about 2 to 3 points, I'd say. Now, I believe Iowa will go for Trump. I believe, let's see, what else do I have here? The next easiest one to predict, I'd say, would be, here's where it gets a little more challenging. So let's go to my home state of Minnesota. Minnesota has not voted for a Republican since 1972. And in 2016, Trump was rather close. I believe he only lost the state by about 50,000 votes or so. That candidate from Utah last time, Evan McMullin, who was a Republican running as an independent, received about 70,000 votes in Minnesota. So if all those people had voted for Trump, Trump would have won Minnesota, clearly. I don't think third party is going to play a factor in this election at all this year. We'll see. As they did with Johnson, the Libertarian, Stein, the Green Party candidate, and McMullin, the independent. I know there's some big names, with Kanye West, of course, and some others. In fact, I'm not even going to make this prediction. I don't believe a third-party candidate will win 2% of the vote or more. A single third-party candidate will win 2% of the vote or more in any state. Now, if the Libertarian gets 2% in Alaska, New Hampshire, or North Dakota, that wouldn't surprise me. But maybe outside of that, I don't see it happening. Okay. So I believe Minnesota will go for Biden. It'll be within 5%. But I don't think the Republicans are going to win. I don't think Trump is going to win Minnesota. Next, I'm going to go right next door to Wisconsin. And I have Biden winning Wisconsin as well. Now, here's the other... Whoopsies, some video started playing. It almost scared me half to death. So. All right, if you look at the polls this time, Wisconsin, Trump versus Biden. And what's interesting is they got Biden on average up by 6.6 points. And there hasn't been a poll with Trump ahead since August. But look at all this blue. Look at all the blue on here. Now you might say, "Oh well, Biden's clearly got it in the bag then, doesn't he? Because look at all the blue." Well, I'm gonna now go to. Let me get this back up here. I'm gonna now go to 2016. Look at that, Biden 6.6. Well, if you look at the averages here, they had Clinton 6.5, and look at all the blue. Look at all the blue. Look at all the blue. But remember, polls don't vote; people do. And Trump won the state of Wisconsin without ever winning a poll. I don't know if that's ever happened in election history. Won the state without ever winning a poll. Wisconsin was not as heavily polled in 2016 as it was this year. Clinton did not make an appearance in Wisconsin even because she thought, and maybe history says and the polls said that she had a good lead. Not the case. Will that happen again this year? I don't think so. But it's going to be darn close. It's going to be within 1%. Especially if Trump covered the percentage by 6.5 to 0.7, that's a 7.2% swing. That would certainly fall into the 2016 numbers, because I think Biden was up 6.6. So if it's a 7.2 swing again, well, Trump's won the state. So it could happen. It certainly could. I have it with Wisconsin going for Biden. There was a poll last week that said Biden up by 17 in Wisconsin. No way. Never. Nope, not going to happen. It'll be close. Okay. Next, I have Nevada. Nevada's going to be very close as well, but I have Nevada going Biden. As Arizona. Arizona has not gone for a Democrat since, was it 96 or 92? I know Clinton won it at least once. Never in this century. But I have both going for Biden. Both will be close. The southwestern part of our country seemingly is becoming more liberal as time goes on. And I believe Biden will win both. So now, if you're in the Trump camp, I got it 265 to 149, 270 to win. So we're very close to the tipping point here. But now I have some Trump states coming. I believe Trump will win Georgia. It's going to be very close. It's going to be very close. I've read a lot of articles about the Democrat ground game in Georgia being very good. I have Trump winning it, though, by a little bit. North Carolina, I have going for Trump. Last time, the North Carolina polls were not very good. In fact, they have, this year they have Biden up by a little bit, and I'll show you that right now. 0.3, that's nothing. But if you look at 2016, they had Trump +1, and it was almost a +4. I think it'll be about a 2-point win for Trump in North Carolina. But North Carolina has a very popular Democratic governor right now, so maybe that'll play for Biden's hand. I know some congressional district races are much closer than expected in North Carolina right now. But I'm going to go Trump winning North Carolina. I'm going to have Trump winning Florida as well. It's kind of strange. I have Florida going in Trump's column quicker than Texas. Kind of strange. But I think Trump will win Florida. It's going to be very close again. There's a lot of votes to count in Florida. I think Trump's going to win Florida. The polling might not show it right now, but I believe it'll happen. I think he's going to win it. Maine District 2, I have going for Trump. He's campaigned up there. He won it by almost 11% last time. 10.5, I believe it was 10.4 actually. First Republican to win that District 2 since I believe 1988 with Daddy Bush. But I think the polls say he's going to lose it. I don't think so. I think Trump's going to win that one. Let's go next to New Hampshire. And New Hampshire's tough because you think about it, state motto, live free or die. So you'd think that, especially with what we got going on in our country now, you'd think that the Republican would benefit from that. Biden did very poorly in New Hampshire in the primary, even though it's in the Northeast, and Biden's whole political career, political career in the Northeast. But dang, tough one. I think it's going to go Biden, though. Because New Hampshire's, I always guess New Hampshire's more Republican than it is, and it always comes back to get me. So I'm going to go New Hampshire going for Biden. And now we're down to 3, and I think these are going to be the 3 tough ones on election night. These are going to be the ones that maybe keep us up to the early hours to make the difference. You might be saying, well, Nebraska, that's only got District 2, that thing in Omaha, Obama won in 08. I think it's going to be close. Trump won it by 3 points last election. All the polls I've seen anyway, show Trump behind. Trump had a rally there last week. Man. So you can see I haven't rehearsed this because I have to make the. I'll go Trump. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Trump. And now Texas. I could very easily see this with Biden winning it. People might think that's ridiculous because, as recently as 2012, Romney won Texas by 16 points. Trump won it by about 9.5 last election. There's a lot of vote. Texas is already has exceeded their vote total from 2016 in early voting. Fastest growing fast. It'll have 41 electoral votes next election. Boy, I think Pennsylvania and Texas could be what this election comes down to. Because if you look right now, nobody's won yet. Both are going to be close. I'll give Texas to Trump. Even though a part of me says he's not going to win it. But I'm going to give him the nod. Here's why I'm going to give him the nod. Because if I look at the data from last time and this time, the data says that Biden will lose Wisconsin and Trump will win. I don't believe that, though. So I'm going to go with Biden winning Wisconsin, even though it goes against my data. In Texas, I look at 2018, O'Rourke nearly beat Cruz. I look at the polls are about even. But I just can't see right now a Democrat winning Texas. But don't get me wrong. It could look like this easily on election night. It could be blue, but I'm going to go red right now. So now it all comes down to this. It all comes down to Pennsylvania. Now, if Trump were to win, I want you to look at the electoral votes. We have a 269-269 tie. And, of course, then it goes to the House of Representatives where there are delegation votes. And that could be a 25-25 tie, and that's going to be a real mess. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Biden's going to win the election 289-249. I think that Philadelphia, remember, Biden is going to win Philadelphia by between 80 and 90%. And Clinton won Philadelphia by, I believe, 300 to 400,000 votes last time. It'll be similar to that this time, probably closer to 400. Can Trump cover that in the rest of the state? With Pennsylvania, they used to say, you make a red T and put a little blue dot in the middle, and now you have what the state looks like. Trump expanded that last time, and it looks more like a big fat T now, with just some counties going for Clinton last time. But I think it's going to be close, but I believe it's going to be a Biden victory in his home state, his birth state, I should say, of Pennsylvania, which leads him to victory on election night, 289 to 249. So now, once again, what do I predict will happen next after this? I believe it's going to be a contested election. I believe that no matter what happens, it's going to be contested. Much like 2016 was contested, there was some recounts and all that stuff. We're really not going to know. I also, as strange as this sounds, I believe both camps will announce victory on election night. Just something I think will happen. And I think Trump will have a lead in Pennsylvania or maybe some of these other states, and he will announce victory early. And every state has so many. What's really kooky about this year is there's votes going to be coming in after election day that have been postmarked for before that day, of course. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But I believe Biden will win. Biden will become the president. Now, Biden will not be the 46th president, though. My prediction is that Trump. This is maybe other people have thought this, maybe other people haven't. I just can't see if Trump loses. I can't see him going forth with the rest of the term, and I could see Trump resigning in December. And Pence becoming president, and then Pence becomes the 46th president to finish out the term, and he'll name Nikki Haley out of South Carolina his vice president. And I could see that happening very easily. I could see it happening. And I think that'll set up the 2024 matchup between Biden-Harris versus Crenshaw and Haley, with Haley as the president, Crenshaw as the vice president. Now, enough speculation about future stuff. One other thing. Now, if you're a Trump, if you're watching this, you're not a student and you're just somebody watching this, I think Trump could win. I really do. I think Trump could win Arizona. I think Trump could win Pennsylvania. I think Trump could win Nevada. I think Trump could win Minnesota. I think, hey, if another error in Wisconsin, he's got Wisconsin. I think he could win New Hampshire. Michigan, boy, I don't know. I don't think so. But let's say he does. This could be the map on election night. An expanded base where he adds Minnesota and New Hampshire to his tally. I could see that happening. So I think a cap of 326 for Trump is, I can't see him getting more than 326 electoral votes. Now with Biden, I could see Biden. Let's go back to my normal one here, which I believe was like this, and Arizona, and Nevada. There we go. I believe, as I just stated, I believe Biden could win Texas. I believe Biden could win Georgia. I believe Biden could win Florida, North Carolina, possibly Ohio, possibly Iowa. I believe the cap, and I believe Biden could win Omaha. And he could win Maine too. Maine too. So I believe Biden could potentially get 413 electoral votes. And if it looks like this, well, this is reminiscent of the 1988 election, which was not close in the electoral vote and was not close in the popular vote. Could it be in 1988, or could we all be wrong again? And could it be a Trump victory in 2016 that not a lot of people are predicting? I think it's going to be closer than some people are making it to be. I thought he had about a 25% chance of winning last time. This time, well, if you think about it, I think I'd put it at about 25-33% again. I think he has a chance of winning, no doubt about it. I think he has a chance of winning. Now, if you look at 25%, 25% is correctly picking a coin toss 2 times in a row. So that's attainable. That's attainable. So we'll see what happens. But going back one more time to what I think is going to happen, this is my final prediction that, if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But this is what I believe will happen. Let's change these red. And North Carolina too, right? That's what I'm. So my final prediction: Biden 289, Trump 249. And to follow it up, if Biden wins, I believe that the Democrats will win the Senate and keep the House. I believe that Trump will resign in December. I believe that Pence will become president, name Nikki Haley out of South Carolina vice president. I believe that Washington, D.C. will become a state in 2021, and Puerto Rico will become a state in 2022. And just in time for the 2022 midterm elections. And in 2024, it'll be Biden and Harris, if Biden runs for a second term, which I don't think is a guarantee at all, versus Nikki Haley out of South Carolina, and Dan Crenshaw out of Houston. And if it's Harris running for president, it'll be Harris and maybe Buttigieg, or however you say it, out of Indiana as the vice president. But we'll see. This video could be laughed at a week from now, saying, "Oh, how wrong I was," and maybe it will be. We'll see. Have a good night, and we'll see how this prediction turns out.